Hey guys, I'm making this video because there's been a huge revamp of the Sailor Moon series that I have been obsessed with since I was a kid. And I thought this was a perfect chance for me to sort of go to YouTube and make reviews of the episodes that are coming out and talk about the anime and the manga and the live action series and the musicals. Pretty much state my opinion for you guys and also for myself, because I would love to come back to this stuff in the future and see how I felt about all those things. So this first video is mostly a background of the Sailor Moon huge multiverse and some feelings that I have for the show. So yeah, here goes. So Sailor Moon started out as a manga series actually known as Codename Sailor V, written by Naoko Takeuchi. Um, she wanted to write a story about cute girls in space, and originally just wanted one Senshi, and that was Sailor V. But her editors didn't like that idea very much, and they wanted her to be part of a team. They wanted girl power. They wanted what Sailor Moon is now. So they made her write four other characters. Personally, I wasn't a huge fan of that because, I mean, I grew up with Sailor Moon, and then you hear about Sailor V now and then you see Sailor Venus. That's cool. But reading the Sailor V manga now, I'm seeing that Sailor V is really just a prototype of what Sailor Moon or Usagi is, and will become, for a lot of reasons that I won't get into right now, because I will review Sailor V by itself. But I personally think that Sailor V was just Sailor Moon, pretty much. That's just my opinion. Sailor Moon took elements from Mahou Shoujo anime, Magical Girl anime, and Super Sentai, Power Rangers, pretty much, and brought them together, and no other place or thing has ever done this before, so this was a huge thing. Sadly, Takeuchi was only intended to write one arc of the manga, which you can kind of see when you read the manga. You're like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how a cohesive story is written, pretty much, even though it's super fast-paced. But the editors wanted her to write more and more, and so she wrote four more story arcs, which obviously I'm super happy with because I love the series, but I'm also really sad that she didn't intend for this, any of this. And supposedly, Takeuchi was actually intending for all of her main characters to actually die at the end and stay dead. But her editors were all like, it's shoujo. It's way too dark of a concept for you to include death. So every time her characters were like mortally wounded or actually dead, they would always be brought back. Which is very inspiring, and it brings hope, and it shows that goodness will prevail always. And it's kind of sad because apparently she held a grudge from her editors after that. She wanted a story, and they didn't want that story, so they made her change it, and that sucks. But thankfully, we have our series that we know and love, and hopefully the new anime, which I'm getting to, will have her actual intending ending, if those were English words. Sadly, though, the anime and the manga were being published so closely together that Season 2, Sailor Moon R, had been changed dramatically, the anime. Even adding characters or villains such as Alan and Anne and the Doom Tree. That's not in the manga at all. That just showed that the manga was way behind the anime. And so they sort of took a leap of faith and made everything up. Personally, I love that arc. I love the Doom Tree, Alan and Anne. I love what they did with that, the love triangle aspect. I'm a fan of that. Knowing that that wasn't in the manga, that was a little heartbreaking, but I read the manga and I love that as well. Now, when the anime was actually made, a lot of stuff was going on. There was bidding wars, apparently, between Toonmaker and DiC, I believe. Um, and Toonmaker wanted a half live action, half American style cartoon, similar to Nothing that we have, I think, maybe? I don't know. It just wasn't what Sailor Moon is, so thankfully that bidding war was swayed to the good side of life. I'm sure all of you have seen this trailer. There was a 2-minute promo trailer released, like recorded off a VHS tape, called the Saban trailer, which, yeah, that's a thing. And they were going to make it very Americanized with like human names like Rose or Red, I forget. Either way, thankfully it wasn't being made. I probably would have still loved it, let's be honest. But still. Yeah. So DiC, you could say thankfully, got the rights to it and made the dub version that we all know today, and is equally controversial, I guess. I personally love the DiC dub. I love, because it got me into the anime. Why would I not love something that sprung my passion for anime itself? Obviously it has its faults, obviously it's very edited, obviously it's dumbed down, and it's sad, but it's what needed to be done, I guess, at the time. Who knows if it was literally translated, like word for word, if children would have liked it as much. Who knows? But yeah, so DiC did Sailor Moon Season 1 and Sailor Moon R Season 2. After that, Cloverway did the dubbing for S and Super S, Season 3 and 4. And no editing was done whatsoever with the episode portion, but a lot of storyline parts were a little dumbed down and edited, such as the relationship between Sailor Uranus and Sailor Neptune, who are openly lesbian in the manga and the original Japanese, and any other form of it, but in the Cloverway dub, and apparently a lot of other English, or a lot of other language dubs, they are portrayed as either cousins, maybe sisters, I don't know, I haven't seen much of that, but they were not lesbian, they were not together, because apparently incest is much more PG than a healthy homosexual relationship, let's be honest. But honestly, I could always see that their relationship was a lot more on screen, and I was like, I didn't even know that they were cousins. I just thought that they were together, and that was cool. But, whatever. After that, sadly, we never got the 5th season, Sailor Stars. There's plenty of reasons why we didn't get it. There's no reason why we shouldn't have. But mostly the reason is they added characters that changed gender when they transformed from civilian to Senshi form, and that was a no-no. There was a lot more nudity at the end. There's always nudity, let's be honest. It's a pretty interesting show. Anyways, so after that mess of not being dubbed and us not even knowing about it until like the internet became a thing, we found out there were other incarnations of this amazing show, such as live-action series, musicals, video games, a lot of fan-made video games, which are really cool. Yeah. Personally, the live-action, I will review all that when time comes, but live-action, I loved it. I loved what they did with their civilian mode, and how they were Asian girls with black hair, and then when they turned into their Sailor Scouts or their Senshi form, they had their Senshi hair. They had blue and green. I don't think they had green. I don't know. Brown, maybe? They had their normal hair. And that made sense. Because they're not from... Their Senshi form really isn't from Earth. They're from their specific planets, or moon. And so they would have different hair color, I guess, in the fantasy aspect. So it made sense for them to have a civilian form that people see, and then a Senshi form with different hair that makes their identity actually, like, inconspicuous. Anyways, and I loved what they did with Minako, or Sailor Venus. I personally loved her entire character, like, everything, because it was different, but it was so good. Anyways, and then the musicals, I am sadly only as far as Anza, who's the first Usagi. That's how the musicals go. They go by who plays Usagi, and there's like 5, I think. I'm only at the first one still, but I'm like right at the end of her arc, and I love her so much. I don't know if I could take seeing another Usagi, but anyways. So now, to the good news. Yes, Viz, who's like our holy savior, our sovereign of not silence, she sure, Viz is now a girl. Viz has licensed all of Sailor Moon pretty much now that the licensing in America and all English-speaking countries has expired in like 2004, I believe. Viz has licensed all 200 episodes, all 3 movies, all the specials, and the new anime Sailor Moon Crystal, which is going to be airing in July 2014. Very excited. But they're airing it all on Hulu and Neon Alley. Both of those are free, I believe. Yes. But currently they are airing the older anime, but it's going to be remastered, dubbed and subbed. First, it's all subbed, and it's airing every Monday. So I'm very excited. I watched episodes 1 through 4, and I will be reviewing them, and I'm very excited. Words. Okay, long enough video. Thank you for watching. I will be making videos every week, hopefully, to review any form of Sailor Moon that I can. I hope all of you have a great day, and Sailor Moon says, stay awesome. Bye.